ladies and gentlemen. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 8th Idrisi Platform General Assembly and your second home, Addis Ababa, the flower, the capital of Africa. Your Excellencies, our gathering today is taking place at a unique time in our history when our region is unfortunately hit by the worst food insecurity that has affected about 50 million of our citizens. The current drought has severely affected 3 of our IGAD member states, even though others too have been affected in varying degrees. The most affected countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, that are accounting for 8.1 million, 4.1 million, and 7.1 million food insecure populations, respectively. Malnutrition among children, the elderly, the women account for more than 19 million people and is feared to increase unless immediate and bold measures are taken. And we've been discussing this for the last 2 days here. The prolonged drought has also resulted in an economic loss of the pastoral communities because of the death of 7 million heads of animals. This can take many years to recover, even if we put very strict measures for recovery. The IGAD Drought Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative, Idrisi, that was established 11 years ago, was a step in the right direction and consistent with the aspirations of our forefathers who established IGAD in 1986 as the IGAD Double D, with the D standing for the IGAD Intergovernmental Authority on Drought and Development, which aimed at mitigating the effects of the recurrent severe droughts and other natural disasters. At this juncture, I'd like to commend our member states for the visionary outlook and the commitments demonstrated in building the resilience of our region in the face of increasing hazards on top of drought, such as the floods, the desert locusts, the conflicts at various scales, the COVID-19, and recently the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has severe implications on the 3 Fs: fuel, food, and fertilizer gaps. Similarly, I would like to thank our development partners who have demonstrated unwavering support in our journey towards enhancing food security in spite of the continued multiple challenges in the region. While owing to the dozens of our development partners in the various socio-economic and development endeavors in our region, mainly towards the Idrisi, I'd like to recognize the international financial institutions, the MFIs, the UN agencies, the technical agencies, the international research organizations for their support through their respective areas of competencies. And hence, I'd like to thank the African Development Bank, the World Bank, KfW, the European Union, Sweden, USAID, BMZ, the Islamic Development Bank, Denmark, the Swiss Development Corporation, UNDP, FAO, ILRI, and GIZ, indeed, for standing firm with us during this period. Your Excellencies, the 14th Idrisi Platform Steering Committee that has taken place in this very auditorium room from 20th to 21st, which I had the privilege of partially chairing with His Excellency Dr. Wakene, has deliberated very seriously on the current drought situations. And this is also informed and guided by the IGAD Ministerial Meeting on Drought that was held in May this year, 13th May, in Nairobi, as well as the extraordinary IGAD Assembly of Heads of State and Governments that was held on 5th July this year in Kenya. The delegates of our member states and development partners have thoroughly discussed the ongoing drought situation based on the evidence that was discussed and generated by different stakeholders, including the IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center, in collaboration with the various partners that enrich and work with our offices in generating this evidence that informs our discussions. The key issues during the meeting were scaling up the humanitarian interventions to curb the persistent food insecurity and rethinking the investments for resilience for better preparedness for the next. The question is not whether or not, but when, as already mentioned by my brother here. Your Excellencies, investment areas that will help us to avoid a return to the catastrophic food insecurity we are dealing with include, among others, water-based development to minimize our dependency on rainfall, 2, building capacities of our member state institutions, especially in the areas of early warning and anticipatory action, which is early action, which are highly desired in our region, where 70% of our land mass is under arid and semi-arid. Number 3, peace building at all levels, both local and national level, building data, the evidence, and data sharing capacity at the national and regional levels. Therefore, I'd like to appeal to this August gathering to find ways and means to intensify the humanitarian interventions and rethink the scale of resilience investments in the coming years. Finally, I'd like to thank again the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for hosting the 14th Idrisi Platform Steering Committee meeting and the 8th General Assembly today, and I look forward to our fruitful deliberations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awira, for ably delivering the statement of Dr. Warke Negebeyu, the Executive Secretary of IGAD. And also thank you, excuse me, thank you again for taking us back on the memory lane to 1986, when IGAD was established with Double D, and for identifying the historical mission of this organization by focusing on the issue of drought. And as indeed Franz Fanon once said, that every generation out of relative obscurity must identify its mission and either fulfill it or betray it. What the Executive Secretary's statement affirms is that we are not about to betray that historical mission of fighting drought. And I think this General Assembly is a clear testimony that we are still on course of fighting drought. Very much for delivering that statement. I think it's been well received, and the appeals that you've made, I think, have also been heard by our partners. We'll keep repeating this. As Oliver Twist says, we'll keep asking for more and more. We say thank you, but also say we still need you to be with us, because the challenges and the circumstances demand that we need to work together in terms of confronting these challenges. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's now my singular honor and privilege to invite our chair, the chair of IGAD, to deliver a statement to this General Assembly. Permit me to now welcome Dr. Fatima Rahma, the Director General for International Relations in the Directorate in the Ministry of Agriculture, Forests for the Republic of Sudan, to deliver her statement. You're most welcome, Doctor. It's good to welcome her with a clap as the microphone is turned on. Yes, thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Mr. Awira Anthony, IGAD Executive Secretary. Excellency Dr. Fekro Regasa, the State Minister of Agriculture of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency Honorable Muhammad Adam, Minister of Livestock, Forestry and Range, Republic of Somalia, Your Excellency Abdul Bahari, Representative of Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency Mr. Joseph Africano, Representative of South Sudan, Mr. Tabarik Muhammad, Representative of Republic of Djibouti, Ms. Pamela, Representative of Republic of Uganda, distinguished delegates of member states, distinguished delegates of development partners, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to address this important event of the 14th General Assembly, honored by Your Excellencies, honorable partners, and respected delegates. I take this opportunity to thank the government of people of Ethiopia for hosting this important meeting and for the hospitality rendered to us since our arrival in Addis Ababa. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, I am very grateful for the regular and sustainable meeting of the Idrisi platform and General Assembly that successfully provide enabling conditions to review the progress made in Idrisi implementation, looking at opportunities, constraints, and exchange of ideas on the way forward. The meeting shows the political and technical commitment to implement Idrisi in the IGAD region at IGAD Secretariat, member state, development partners, and NGOs. Major achievements settled around strengthening the drought strategy to enhance building drought resilience, ending drought emergencies, creating development platform, and ending the need for relief. I believe that since the first meeting and up to the present, huge achievement made, but droughts and floods sometimes still surprise us and resulted in destruction and losses in human, animal, and other resources. Part of our reasons for drought is climate change. The second part is related to human behavior towards the resources. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, as known to you all, our countries are challenged by recurrent droughts, which possesses various levels and extents of impacts on member states and communities. Drought incidents are increasing in frequency, severity, and geographical coverage, causing human and animal losses without differentiation between infant, children, gender, and elders. Recent reports show that 14 states, 180 localities, and 18 million persons in Sudan, 41.9 million people in the region face crisis or famine, according to the IPC Phase 3 in the 7th IGAD member state. And these are representing 22% of global number. Member states continue to revise the CPPS and develop new strategies for enhancing drought resilience, improving food security, and expected risk. However, I may be able to state some opportunities that Sudan can possibly promote and manage with the assistance of IGAD, member states and partners, in order to create enabling environment to assist in reducing drought disaster risk. Sudan possesses huge resources of land, animal resources, and water that can help IGAD member state. In addition to seasonal rains, rivers, underground water, which constitute a key platform in development of the resources, even in the desert land. I can state here some examples that we need to promote for development. We have to change from using limited types of food, through diversification of food and nutrition types and developing unutilized ones. Developing all grains for food and not limited to sorghum, millet, and wheat. I can give here an example as rice as promising crop in Sudan. Increase utilization of sea and freshwater food. Promoting dates for food and nutrition. Promotion of forest food, non-wood products. The second thing, adoption of technology for increasing productivity and production within the agriculture sector, including agricultural, animal resource, marine, and forest water. Sudan faces challenge to develop these resources. It is for the sake of all member states. We urge IGAD to encourage member states to enter into bilateral and multilateral agreements to develop joint investment and partnership in the agriculture sector and marine resources and enhance related industries. We expect from support from partners. Sudan is committed to support dry land research and knowledge through its research institution. Here, Sudan exerted effort to establish a center to provide services in this direction. It is the IGAD Center for Agriculture and Forest Land Development to complement the role of development of agriculture and forest. Sudan possesses huge lands and needs support for sustainable development of agriculture, forests, and other natural resources. This center will serve both drought resilience as well as sustainable development for natural resources in Sudan. I here request that IGAD and partners consider the suggested center. To conclude, I would like to thank the IGAD Secretariat for organizing this meeting, for their excellent arrangement to ensure the success of this event. We are looking forward to your recommendation outcomes, and we ensure our commitment to collaborate and keen cooperation and our support to achieve this recommendation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatima Rahma, for that statement from the chair of IGAD. And thank you also for flashing the light on the data, particularly regarding the people who are found to be in crisis. If I may remember from your statement, 1 in 5 people in crisis globally are found in this region, and that is something certainly to be worried about. And certainly your recommendations of what needs to be done in terms of boosting production, productivity, if we may take that, I think it's something that is important in terms of the long-term resilience building measures to be able to address the adverse effects of droughts in the region. So we thank you very much for that statement. And without much ado, I know that time is not our best ally. And also, I'm also aware, borrowing from what was stated earlier, that's not a question of if or when. This time it's not about the next shock, but it's not a question of if or when my role as an MC will come to an end. But it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when. And that when is almost now, because as I invite our chief guest and our chair of the Idrisi 8th General Assembly, His Excellency Dr. Fikru Regassa, to address us, he will also be assuming his due role as the chair of the General Assembly after we have done the group photograph, because we also need memory, so we'll be taking a group photograph here, and then also a press interview, and then a health break. Thereafter, he'll be taking over. So I'm beginning the transition process of handing over the role of stewardship to His Excellency Dr. Fikru Regassa, who will welcome us to this beautiful city, address us in his capacity as chair, and then also guide us on how we move forward. Please, let's welcome Dr. Fikru with a big clap. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Dear Mr. Awira Antony, the Director of Planning, Coordination and Partnership Division of IGAD, representing His Excellency Dr. Workana Gabayo, the Executive Secretary of IGAD and the Chair of the Idrisi Platform, Your Excellency Dr. Fatima Rahama, Director General, Internal Relations Directorate, Ministry of Agriculture and Forest, the Republic of Sudan, Your Excellency Honorable Muhammad Adan Mualim Ali, the Minister of Livestock, Forestry and Range, Federal Republic of Somalia, Your Excellency Honorable Abdul Buhari Jilo, Chief Administrative Secretary, representing Professor Margaret Kobia, Minister of the Public Service, Gender, Senior Citizen Affairs and Special Program, the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency Mr. Joseph Africano Wartel, Undersecretary, Minister of Environment and Forestry, representing Her Excellency Ms. Joseph Noapa Cosmos, Minister of Environment and Forestry, the Republic of South Sudan, Mr. Tabarek Mohammed, Technical Advisor to the Minister, representing His Excellency Ibrahim Elmi Mohammed, Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries and Livestock, in charge of marine resource, the Republic of Djibouti, Ms. Pamela Kamoji, Senior Disaster Management Officer, Office of the Prime Minister, representing Honorable Iter Anyuzi, State Minister of Disaster Preparedness, Refugee and Management, the Republic of Uganda, distinguished delegates and invited guests, all protocols observed. First of all, I feel privileged and honored by this opportunity to represent my country, Ethiopia, at this very important time when our sister countries seek multi-cooperation to overcome the insurmountable problem of climate change and related risks. Evidently, the climate change-based incidents like the drought, invasion of desert locusts, flooding, including other hazards, have severely affected the people of Ethiopia, more notably living in the dry land areas of the country. The government of Ethiopia, however, through its relentless efforts and implementation of resilient building initiatives, we have achieved promising results in improving the livelihoods of pastoral and agro-pastoral communities living in the arid and semi-arid lowlands. And I do hope that other IGAD member states have also attained similar encouraging results to ending drought emergencies. In this regard, our joint effort in the resilience building initiatives is quite critically important. The Ethiopian government recognizes that drought-prone communities in our region share the same ecosystem, are interconnected through shared natural resource, sociocultural values through interactions and socioeconomic transactions of cross-border trade and transboundary human and animal movements. It was learned that such practices along the cross-border areas of the IGAD member states have demanded a strong coordination, harmonization, and integrated development efforts in dealing with drought and other natural hazards and their resultant effects in the Horn of Africa. In particular, efforts made on the water development, natural resource management, with due emphasis on rangeland rehabilitation, forage development, establishment of livestock market and health facilities, diversified livelihood interventions, peace building and conflict management practices are some of the important socio-economic development thematic areas demanded by the community to be dealt with by designing a more comprehensive and a long-term development resilience programs to be implemented in a better coordinated and harmonized manner. This Drought Resilient Platform General Assembly to discuss on IGAD Drought Resilience and Sustainable Initiative Idrisi aims to strengthen further the ties among the neighboring countries and to launch the second phase of Drought Resilience Initiative Program for building resilience, food and nutrition security, and the de-risking, inclusion and value enhancement of pastoralist economies of Idrisi along the second CBP and RPP with transformational agenda of upcoming 5 years, which I greatly believe my country will benefit from. Distinguished delegates and invited guests, as you remember, the 2011 Nairobi Summit was dedicated to the objective of ending drought emergencies through building sustainable livelihoods in the IGAD region. The summit called for revision of strategies, policies, and programs that involves increased investment aimed at building resilience within the member states and in the region as well. In respect to this, the IGAD member states have made a commitment to end drought emergencies in a coordinated and harmonized manner. In 2010, the government of Ethiopia developed a revised disaster risk management policy, which is already in practice and whose overall objective is to reduce the risk and impact of disaster through the establishment of comprehensive and integrated disaster risk management system with the context of sustainable development, and is linked with the IGAD's regional disaster risk management policy. Evidently, since the last decade, Ethiopia has developed and implemented the climate resilient green economic strategy, outlining green economic growth paths that fosters development and sustainability. And beyond, as the effect of climate change become more severe and regular more recently, Ethiopia has made a great stride to contribute towards tackling climate change through the Green Legacy Initiative, under which the country has managed to plant more than 20 billion seedlings of trees of different purposes. Ethiopia has also shared the plant seedling to some of the neighboring countries to enhance the climate adaptation and environmental protection measures across the region. Recognizing that peace and stability is critical to ensure the sustainable development, Ethiopia has prepared a conflict resolution and peace-building strategy with the objective of preventing the occurrence of violent conflicts through the collection of conflict early warning information system and initiating early and timely response to tackle the root cause of conflicts by aligning the interventions phase by phase with the long-term development plans. Honorable ministers, permanent secretaries, distinguished delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, in previous periods, the pastoralists and agro-pastoralists have been the disadvantaged and marginalized people in the country with a very limited basic social services and development interventions. Thus, at present, ensuring the livelihoods and responding to their needs is of paramount importance for the government of Ethiopia. It is therefore striving for a more and concerted efforts on IGAD drought, disaster resilience and sustainable initiatives in collaboration with IGAD is a priority to achieve the objectives of ending drought emergencies in the country. To achieve this goal, the government of Ethiopia and its development partners have focused on the following 3 areas of interventions. 1, institutionalizing and policy reform, where government of Ethiopia has undertaken recently. Acceleration and expansion of investment efforts in pastoral and agro-pastoral areas, and managing disaster risks through dynamic and innovative approach. Following the Nairobi summit in September 2011 and subsequent meetings, the Ethiopian government and development partners have committed themselves to make new and significant investment in the dry lands of the country to improve the livelihoods of vulnerable communities. The increased investment in these areas is aimed to open up the dry land and the pastoral and agro-pastoral areas for economic development, market linkage, creation of employment opportunities, quick delivery of services and emergency supplies, both at national and subnational levels. Obviously, building resilience and reducing vulnerability of livelihoods of the pastoral community is only possible through long-term development, interventions, and investments. To this end, the government of Ethiopia has mainstreamed the priority intervention areas of the country programming paper, along with the 10 years of the national development plans in different sectoral institutions by setting key performance indicators to monitor and evaluate the achievement of the resilient initiatives. At present, the government of Ethiopia is implementing various resilience building projects in the dry land areas of the country. These are Sustainable Development Goal Project, Drought Resilience and Sustainable Livelihood Program, Strengthening Drought Resilience, Regional Fund for Strengthen Drought Resilience, Productive Safety Net Programs, Lowland Livelihood Resilience Projects, and Sustainable Land Management. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, though the implementation of drought resilience initiatives have shown very encouraging results, nonetheless, there are still challenges and gaps that needs due attention of the government, development partners, and IGAD to deal with in the future. And I do hope that some of them might be a discussion point on this EDDC meeting and General Assembly. In this regard, I'm so confident that the government of Ethiopia has committed to achieve the Nairobi Summit declaration, including the recent summit recommendations of heads of states along the drought emergency response, and we will continue with the same spirit and commitment to sustain the momentum of the ongoing efforts in building resilience. Undoubtedly, the implementation of the ongoing and upcoming resilience initiatives will be achieved through an integrated intervention of different actors that can collectively impact in building resilience of vulnerable communities in the areas of arid and semi-arid lowlands of the country. It is our living memory in the areas of arid and it is our living memory that in these years, my country experienced a life-threatening drought, which some call it the difficult situation the country faced in 40 years' time, which is still continued in arid and semi-arid areas of pastoral and agro-pastoral communities. The role of our development partners in the process of implementing regional and national resilience building initiatives, it therefore will be of paramount importance. Cognizant of this fact, I call upon all development partners who have been engaged in poverty reduction and resilience building activities and who are ready to support our future struggle against poverty and drought to be part of the implementation program. Thus, I would like to bring to your attention the need of leveraging your supportive engagement in our future development endeavors, following the same path you paved before. Once again, on behalf of Ministry of Agriculture, I would like to convey my acknowledgement and gratitude to all development partners and IGAD secretariats who have been with us a long way in tackling various challenges by implementation of the drought, disaster resilience initiatives in the agro-pastoral and pastoral areas. In conclusion, I wish a fruitful IGAD platform on drought resilience and sustainable initiative General Assembly and ministerial meeting for the successful completion and deliberation of the path to resilience and sustainable agenda to end drought. I thank you.
Shall we put our hands together again for His Excellency Dr. Fikru for the statement? Excellency, I want to thank you for sharing with us and illuminating Ethiopia's path to resilience and sustainability over the past 10 years. Particularly interesting is the fact that you do mention that Ethiopia has been, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia has been able to translate the Idrisi regional programming paper into a country programming paper, and not stopped at that, but ensuring that it is integrated in the national development plan, which then feeds into the budget, and then therefore all these projects that are going there. I think this is what it takes to be able to deal with the problem of droughts resolutely. I think that's a good example, and I believe that a number of our delegations from the IGAD member states have had to that, and those that are yet to walk that path will certainly take a good message from your statement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are coming now to the end of the opening session. I want to thank you for your cooperation in terms of listening to the very good statements from our excellencies, and also to thank excellencies for the time you've taken to prepare the opening statements. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for us to get a family photo of the Idrisi 8th General Assembly, and I want to request my colleagues who are working on this to come and set up the arena as fast as possible so that we can then earn ourselves a health break before we get into the deliberations of the 8th Idrisi General Assembly. Otherwise, once again, let's put our hands together for our excellencies, the panel. Let's put our hands together for our media colleagues who have been ensuring that the activities that have been happening are seen and they are heard all over the world. Please put your hands together again for our media colleagues that have made sure that these messages don't remain at Skylight Hotel, but they go global and probably go viral. And those of you who are tweeting, those of you who are posting on social media, make sure that this message goes around the world. This assembly, again, is symbolic of the political will, the political commitment that our member states have to working together in solving this problem. I think it's an acknowledgement that we cannot deal with this problem alone. And the assembly you see here is representative, is symbolic of that acknowledgement, political will and commitment that we are in this thing together and we can solve it together, and that together we shall all achieve more. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite excellencies to come and take the seats here. And after they take their seats, I also invite the delegations to come and stand behind the delegation. We can use also the platform there, 2 levels, so that we are able to get the family photo. We are taking this photo in compliance with IGAD's data protection policy, which means that by appearing in the photo, you are consenting that we can use it on our media platforms, and that is being used for a good purpose of amplifying these challenges that we've been speaking about, the challenge of drought, and as it does intersect with other challenges. So please, you can rise up to your feet and walk behind the high table here so that we can take the family photo. We will be very happy to see all the delegations, all the partners appearing in this group photo. After the photo, you'll be rewarded with a cup of tea and coffee and some fruits and some juice so that we can come back and continue with the deliberations. And just to remind you that the people behind the cameras are the best photographers in East and Southern Africa. Actually, let me say the Sub-Saharan Africa. So you don't want to miss the opportunity of the photograph by the best photographers in the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa. We can also take the platform up there on 2 levels so that nobody's face is left behind. The SDGs remind us that nobody should be left behind. Make sure your face is not left behind. And we take this photograph. I think the cameras are ready and they are ready to shoot. We can also say Idrisi as we take the photo so that we are smiling even if we are dealing with a very serious problem of drought. It's okay to smile even if you are dealing with drought. Thank you very much. I think it's over. Thank you very much for the photograph. We now have a break, tea coffee break, and we can proceed for the tea coffee break while the senior officials will proceed to press conference, and will be guided by our press team. Mohammed, wherever you are, would you please assist us in guiding our chief executives to the interview, the president? We will move to the chief executives, our chief guest excellencies will move to the VIP room for coffee as we make arrangements for the press conference. So all excellencies, you are invited to the VIP room for your cup of coffee or tea. The rest of us will go to the foyer where we've been taking the tea over the past 2 days.
to the room. We are going to launch very soon the global report on food crisis. Media is invited to remain in the room. Media is invited to remain in the room for the launch of the global report on food crisis, the regional focus. Master of ceremony.